Good afternoon and thank you for coming. My name is Simon East and I develop smartphone applications.
And I'm Kapsali and I'm a lecturer at the School of Performance and Cultural Industries. Simon and I met at the Leeds Creative Labs, and that's when we first started talking about our collaboration and specifically about using technology, mobile phones, for actor training purposes. And then we developed our collaboration further through Ignite funding, which is another scheme offered by CCI Exchange. Our collaboration, which we named Manifesto, aimed to explore technology, and we're going to show you in also some of the clips, and I'll talk a little bit more about the specific aspects of actor training.
For the workshops, we concentrated on two of the applications. Firstly, the way mobile phones could be used as cameras in order to develop a multi-viewpoint recording and real-time playback of actor training exercises. And secondly, the ways in which they can enable the production of quadraphonic sound through the actor's movement in space. The workshops allowed us to explore our initial ideas, fine-tune some of the technology involved.
So the workshops consisted of basic actor training, movement training exercises that the students were already familiar with. And the technology was added, if you want, as an additional element or as an additional partner, if you want, to these exercises. So what you see, for example, here is a basic exercise. The students are working with this idea of an imaginary string. But instead of a string, the other person is holding a mobile phone and basically is recording their partner. So my aim here was to try two things: to use a movement-based exercise, which is aimed at developing skills at relating to a partner, using the space, and so on. At the same time, developing their students' visual literacy, if you want, our understanding of how this exercise looks from the outside. So the idea was that at the end of the exercise, they would watch those kinds of recordings and see how that looked from a compositional aspect. And then the aim of the second application was to explore the way in which the production of sound might enable them to extend their movement vocabulary and relationship to their space.
For all the workshops, we used the students' own phones and installed two applications onto them. The first application sent movement data from each phone back to a laptop, where the dynamics and 3D location of a specific sound for each student was played back over quadraphonic speakers installed in the space. In the first workshop, they found the sounds quite hard to control, so we refined this to make it much more effective for the second workshop. And halfway through the second workshop, we also changed the playback to be samples of text spoken by the performers, so that allowed them to experiment more with text. The second application sent video back to a central computer where cuts were randomly performed between 4 student cameras. And for the second iteration, as it's shown up here, we projected a live feed of the mixed video output so the students could react to that in real time.
And this is the photograph from the workshop with the sound. So you see they have their mobile phones strapped in various parts of the body, and then the movement would actually move the sound in the room and change the pitch and the volume and the speed of the sound. In terms of impact, the impact that this project had on me, I think of it in 4 concentric circles, and at the heart of it is the more personal impact, and then as it moves outwards is a more collective impact. So to begin with, personally, what this collaboration allowed me to do was it gave me a sense of a right to talk about the use of technology, and the use of technology is something that has only started in performer training, so it's a very, very new area, and a lot of people are looking at it from a theoretical perspective. So, you know, I've managed to practically explore something, and I think this gives me a sense of confidence to continue with the research and the real desire to do so as well. In terms of career, I managed to work with someone I would never have met otherwise, and that was great. And also I see the impact really spilling over into school. I mean, for the workshops we used students from the department, and then I gave a presentation in the school. I started discussions with colleagues, and then I see the impact, you know, really moving out into the wider field of performer training and contemporary performance. And hopefully this is something that people would be interested in pursuing further or in discussing.
Two of the performers moving around and playing sounds as they moved phones through space. And they really seem to enjoy that and got a lot out of that process. Just to very quickly talk about the impact for me. From my point of view, the project enabled me to try out all kinds of new ideas about involving real users and refine those. And it was a very interesting departure for me to work with someone like Maria, who came from a completely different background. And those workshops really helped push me to find some interesting technology solutions that were also artistically interesting. And I'm now going to use some of those ideas in music production and other artistic things I'm involved with. So hopefully they will have a benefit beyond this as well. And that's it.
Yes, thank you. Very much. Does anybody have any questions?
How did the students find it?
They enjoyed it. It was really interesting. These were second-year undergraduates, and I had worked with them when they were in their first year, using primarily movement stuff. And they had problem understanding why are we doing movements. You know, we want to become actors, and they also have very short concentration spans. And a lot of people talk about technology allowing that sense of immersion, and that was something I really wanted to test out, and they did. I mean, the way they worked and the concentration they had, the commitment they had to the project was something I did not see in the class the year before. Now you might say they matured as people. I mean, it could be all sorts of things, but I think there was certainly something in the use of lights, because we did not have natural light, and in the fact that there was a very direct sense of cause and effect between I'm moving and I'm producing something which I can feel in more than one sense. And I think that really helped them stay within the environment of the exploration. So yeah, I think I saw a very big difference on them.
Anybody else? Are you able to continue with this next year?
We're hoping to. We're hoping
Yes.
to get some extra funding and to take it a bit further. There's various things that we want to try and refine. We want to try out some more different ideas about using text, using. So the 3D sound we were using was just quadraphonic. I want to try and use a system which actually allows you to vary the height of it as well. There's all sorts of very bizarre and interesting things you can do with location of sounds. So I think there's a huge amount more to do, and we certainly learnt a bit about running a workshop and what we can get out of it, and I think we could definitely take that further forward, hopefully.
And initially our discussion was at Creative Labs, back a year ago, to develop this in an app which eventually people will download on their phone and be able to do it by themselves in the studio.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether we'll get there.
There's a huge amount of technology around it, but so this is all put together with bits of technology I could get I already had, or I could get for a relatively small amount of money. But in theory, yes, we could build something in the longer term.